Imagine if an entitled parent tried to steal your pet. Well, that's what happens in this crazy story. Aunt tries to steal my lizard and pays the price. This story was from at least 8 years ago, so I might have to guess some bits, but I remember most of it. Backstory: every year we have a family get together. My dad couldn't come to this one because he was away on a business trip, yawn. So into the story. I think I'm 15 years old, give or take a year, and I'm sitting in my room playing Xbox 360 as I'm socially exhausted from the day. Enter my cousin. I want to play with your lizard. Now, I generally try to be nice to my cousins because I don't want my aunt to be a lady. Okay, that's fine, but you're gonna have to wait a bit though because he's a bit sleepy. He's nocturnal, so that means he sleeps at day. I'll tell you to come up when he's woken up a bit more. Do you promise you'll show him though? Yep, I'll call you up in a bit. About 3 hours later, it's around 7 or something, so I decide that the kid's probably tired, so I'll ask him now. I go downstairs and he's asleep. I don't wake him because he looks tired. Bad move. About an hour later, my aunt slams open the door and starts screaming. Why did you lie to my son? At this point, I'm thinking that stuff's about to go down. What do you mean? You know exactly what I mean, you little idiot. You promised my son to let him have that thing. Oh, I'm sorry, does he want to see him right now? My cousin enters the stage and he is crying. I can't remember if he was faking it or not. He said he could let me hold him. There's no need to get upset, I can get him out now. Really? Of course I can, there's no need to get upset. Now there you go, hand in the gecko and that will be that. I get him out and my cousin has a nice time playing with him. Mom, can we get a gecko? Maybe, it depends on how much they are. The animal itself doesn't cost much, but with the stuff it's around 200 quid. Jesus Christ, all that money for that tiny thing? Well, yeah, you have to make sure they have a nice life. Are you sure I can't just have yours? I'm laughing because I thought she was joking. No, it's my mum's one. Even if you got him, he's only got a few years left. Well, that's perfect. We don't want him for long. At this point, I'm greatly annoyed. You can't have him. Please get out of my room now. My aunt walks out and my cousin waves bye-bye. The following day, it was the final day they were around and we were going to head out for a nice day out. My aunt said she was sick, so we let her stay home while we went out. Massive mistake. I get back and head back to my room to check the temperatures of the tank because it was a hot day and the entire vivarium was gone. Granted, it was only a 20-gallon, but it had decoration, eco-earth, and a gecko in it. Mom, the vivarium's gone. Where the heck did you put it? This isn't a joke, look. My mum comes into my room and immediately goes straight to my aunt. Where is Senor Reddit's tank? What tank? Jesus Christ, shut up. My mum and I start looking for it because my aunt says she doesn't even know I had a tank. We go out to the car and guess who is in my aunt's truck? Yes, truck, this woman actually thought that it would be a good idea to have an animal in the back of a truck. My gecko, tank and all. Long story short, my aunt has been banned from visiting us again, and we made her pay for a visit to the vet for my gecko just in case. Now my gecko was fine in the end. He got some treats for being a good boy and had 2 more years of life until he died of old age. He had a nice life, I miss him, but I got a new leopard gecko recently and he's very cute. Well, here is an old picture of the gecko and what a cute boy he is. I don't really understand, who would steal a gecko? Does this aunt not understand that they literally eat insects? They're quite hard to maintain and look after properly. Also, as an owner of a snake myself, I know that reptiles aren't the most interesting animals you can get. Dogs, for example, give you much more love and attention, but maybe this aunt is just too entitled to even understand. Moving on to the next story, entitled kid tries to steal my $40,000 coin collection, then says it's all his. Backstory: so I like to collect foreign and US coins because some of them are worth a lot. Some of the coins I have from the US are pretty rare, a 1934 wheat penny, a 1979 defect silver dollar, a 1965 defect dime, and so on. So my collection has added up to a lot of money, and I decided to go have them looked at because I would like an extra bit of money. So on to the story. I had just arrived at the place, which for safety purposes I won't include the name, and was pulling out my coins when I felt a tug on my pants. I turned around and this 7-year-old was standing there, smiling broadly and holding up a penny for me to see. I looked closely and whistled appreciatively at the 1847 penny he was holding up, which was in mint condition. At the same time, a single thought ran through my head, which was about the storm gutter not 3 inches away from where we stood. Thank God he didn't drop it. He just turned around and trotted back to his mum. I shrugged it off and continued to pull my coins out. When I went inside, the entitled kid and the entitled mother were already there, talking with an employee, presumably about the penny. I walked over to the innocent employee right next to the entitled kid and his entitled mum and began speaking with him. These are some awesome coins, and most, it looks like, in mint condition. I figured that you could get a pretty penny for these. I rolled my eyes at his pun, pretty penny, and we're in a place that does estimates on pennies and stuff. I know, hilarious. And said, so what do you think I could get for these? If as many of them are in mint condition as I think, you could get up to $40,000. However, if you were to auction them off, you could get way more. Do you want me to take— Excuse me, but I thought I heard $40,000 for those circles of metals you've got there. Mom, I was speaking to this customer, so please don't interrupt me, you idiot. I was speaking. Respect your elders. Hey lady, watch your mouth. There are kids in here. There were 3 other kids, maybe 5 and 6, and 3 behind us reading some magazines on coins along with their mother. Don't talk back to me, you disrespectful little piece of trash. You probably just stole those. Give them to me. I shook my head at her with a shut the frick up look, and there was a jingle of coins, and the innocent employee yelled out. I looked down, and that crotch goblin entitled kid had a hold of the bag my coins were set upon and was pulling. Instinctively, I grabbed his grimy little hands and pushed him back, to be greeted by a gasp. How dare you touch my angel? I should call the police on you because you're a pedophile. She reached out to grab my coins and I pushed her back too, and there was another loud gasp. Now I'm really calling the cops. She grabbed her kid and stomped outside, and a couple of minutes later, 2 cop cars showed up outside. The entitled mum and entitled kid walked in, EM with a smug look on her face, followed by 2 cops. She pointed at me and one of the cops strided over while his buddy blocked the door. Hello sirs, EM tells me that you, nodding at me, assaulted her child and grabbed her chest, and that you, he nodded at the innocent employee, were making racist comments at her. Is this true? No officer, she and her kid tried stealing his coins, screaming at us. We've got security cameras and can show you the footage. We went back and looked it over, and then went back out to the main room, where the first police officer began to speak to the entitled mother. You are under arrest for attempted theft and lying to an officer. Anything you say can and will be held against you. The entitled mum's face went bright cherry red, but she had enough sense not to say anything. As she left, I was given the most intense death look I've ever seen. I pressed charges. Fun thing was, they left their coin on the counter, and the employee picked it up and gave it to me for getting rid of her. Thanks for reading, I hope you get a kick out of it. Well, I certainly did. It's good to hear that you actually made money in the end despite this pretty crazy entitled experience. You see, I thought that most places like this, auction house type of joints, were meant to be kid-free for this exact reason. But then again, even if you do stop an entitled kid, you can't really stop an entitled parent. Moving on to our final story, no, I won't move from my reserved seat. Your child is 23 and doesn't need to sit with you. I was traveling on a train yesterday afternoon back from seeing some friends. I was basically traveling the entire length of the route with a journey around 9 hours, going over 450 miles north, so a long time. I had a reserved seat for the whole journey, with the seat next to me switching from being reserved for some of the journey for an hour or 2, then being vacant. At around hour 6 of my journey, the train was becoming very busy, with families going home from day trips out. The next stop saw the person sitting next to me depart, and a woman who was looking and acting as if the group of scraggy students, like me, and families with little ones were far beneath her got on, with a woman who looked my age. Now, they were both looking around for a seat. The old woman, hereafter EM, saw the space next to me and made a beeline for it, with the other woman, entitled kid, in tow. This is the conversation that followed. Hi, I think you're in my daughter's seat. Oh, really? I'm pretty sure this is the seat I reserved. Doesn't it say so on the display? The train I was on had an automatic display saying whether or not the seat was reserved. My seat said it was reserved from my departure station to my arrival, while the seat next to me said it next became reserved at a station about an hour away. No, the screen's gone off. These are the seats for me and my entitled kid. Now move. Let me guess. I've got a feeling the screen wasn't off at all. At this, I got out of my seat to take a look at the screen, which still said it was reserved, and quickly sat back down. Well, that is not a big surprise. Nope, it still says it's my seat. The seat next to me seems free for a while if one of you wants to sit down. Why can't you just move? We're probably traveling further than you anyway. Sorry, but I'm really not going to move. At this point, the entitled mum raises her voice to attract the attention of others. I can't believe you wanted the dignity to let me sit next to my child. She can't just go and sit on her own. So I asked the entitled kid, how old are you? 23, so probably older than you. You really should do what I say. I'm 21 and look it. Seriously? I won't move from my reserved seat. Your child is 23 and doesn't need to sit with you. I was feeling petty and so rose my voice to mimic the entitled mum when saying this. That's it, we're getting the staff. I would not be spoken to like this by a child. And with that, they both left the carriage and I didn't hear anything from any member of staff or anyone else. Though a lovely little old lady who was sitting across from me said that she would probably have sworn like a sailor at the entitled mum and her entitled kid if they'd spoken to her like that when they'd gone out of earshot. The icing on the cake was when the train stopped around half an hour later, so 2 stops after the entitled people got on. I saw them both getting off and walking up the platform. It took everything not to give them a little wave as they skulked past. Now this story is particularly close to home from me as this has happened to me a lot of times. When I used to go back and forth from uni, which was about 4 or 5 hours away on the train, people would do this all the time. It was so annoying, even when I'd reserved a seat. It was okay once I was sat down because I could just tell them to, you know, go away, find another seat, that's fine. But it was when they were sat in my seat and it was my seat and I couldn't do anything about it. But yeah, I guess entitled people just like to steal people's seats on trains. It's becoming a little bit of a habit, clearly. Anyway, that is the end of this Entitled Parents video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you can't get enough of these stories, click the screen for some more right away.